You're listening to the Caribbean's finest, Dr. Chan.
Welcome back to Positive Vibes. I'm your host, Dr. Chan, and today we have two very interesting and dynamic people who are going to be telling us about something very innovative that is taking place in Jamaica and the Caribbean. We have with us Dr. Ruth Patopsing and we have Dr. Earl Wilson, and they are from the Caribbean Sustainable Energy and Innovation Institute right here in Jamaica. Good morning, Dr. Patopsing. Good morning, Dr. Wilson. How are you both?
Morning, I'm fine.
Very well, thank you, Dr. Chan. What a delight it is to be on your program.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here because I know you're both busy people and you have something pressing coming up that you're going to be telling us about that makes you extra busy this week. So, without further ado, would you please, Dr. Patopsing, tell us a little bit about the Caribbean Sustainable Energy and Innovation Institute? What does it do and why was it formed?
Well, thanks for that question. The Caribbean Sustainable Energy and Innovation Institute is about 2 years old and is a department of the School of Graduate Studies, Research and Entrepreneurship at the University of Technology, Jamaica. And we are focused on sustainable energy. That is energy that is renewable and energy that is affordable. And we are also involved in looking at special projects that are related to energy. We are focused on energy education. And of course, we work with the other faculties in the university, especially we are aligned to the Faculty of the Built Environment as well as the Faculty of Engineering and Computing. And it is through this faculty, the latter faculty, that this magnificent project, research project on hydrogen has emerged. And we're very pleased that we can be working with the Faculty of Engineering, the School of Engineering on this. And we are doing things to change the face of energy in Jamaica.
Lovely. Well, you know that I love to hear that because you know that I am someone who has been an advocate for alternative and renewable energy in Jamaica and the region. So we are happy that you're doing that, Dr. Patopsing, in your capacity as the Associate Vice President of Sustainable Energy at the Caribbean Sustainable Energy and Innovation Institute. Now, Dr. Wilson, would you please tell us about your role at the Caribbean Sustainable Energy and Innovation Institute, please?
The Institute has been helping to manage this project, which is an EU co-funded project. And this grant project was a competitive one, and we are among several countries in the Asian, Pacific, and African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries that were vying for these grant funds. And so we are very happy that this particular project was a winner, and we were able to proceed with furthering the work on hydrogen that began with Dr. Wilson, who actually started this investigation on hydrogen as a fuel for cooking. And in fact, Dr. Wilson was the Young Scientist Award of the SRC some years ago, working in this particular area. So we're very, very happy that we got this grant funding from the European Union, and we are near the very end. We are just a couple months away from the end of this project, and the event that we're having on November 3 and 4, that is next week, is an international hydrogen conference and exhibition, which will take place right here on the campus of the University of Technology, Jamaica.
Wonderful. So, Dr. Wilson, could you please tell us a little bit more about this project, your role at the Caribbean Sustainable Energy and Innovation Institute, and your work on hydrogen? Because many of us may not have heard about hydrogen. We are hearing about solar, we're hearing about wind, we have heard about hydro, but many of us are not familiar with hydrogen. So, could you just explain to us a little bit about your project, Dr. Wilson, and what it is that you have been doing with hydrogen?
Thank you very much. One bit of clarification. I'm a senior lecturer in the Faculty of Engineering and Computing. Right, it's under that now. And I'm the head of the research, the energy unit in the faculty. So the faculties work with Dr. Potopsing in CSCII, and so wherever the projects are, we come together and work on it. So that's it. So a
So it's a
lecturer.
cross-faculty collaboration.
It is.
Wonderful. We like to hear that.
Good. Right. So what's the project all about? For my PhD work, I looked at a niche market in terms of renewable energy. So we have sunlight in Jamaica and we have water in Jamaica. Now, water is built up of hydrogen and oxygen. And for a clean, renewable system, if you use sunlight through photovoltaic to split the water molecule, we can get hydrogen in its purest form. At least the process will be totally environmentally friendly.
And when you talk about photovoltaics, could you just explain to us, break that down for us, let us understand what that is when you say photovoltaics? What are you referring to?
Use sunlight to send through the photo panels, the solar panels.
Okay, the solar panels, lovely.
That's right, photovoltaic solar panels, and that generate electricity. So the power that we use to generate the hydrogen is coming from the sun, not from JPS or another power source.
Wonderful.
And so we split the water with that and then collect the hydrogen from the process and then use the hydrogen as a fuel for cooking. So the long and short of it, we have to modify existing stove, top burners, to allow it to use hydrogen gas. One of the issues with hydrogen gas that it burns almost invisible. And so we had to go to the process to find a way to make it visible. And we have done that. So right now, the long and short of the story is that we use sunlight, split water, collect the hydrogen from the splitting of the water, and have used it for cooking.
That sounds very innovative, Dr. Wilson. So let me ask you, is this something that we would have to go? Would we have to then go and buy, just like we buy a cylinder of cooking gas, regular cooking gas that most of us are used to? We would have to go and buy this? Or is it something that we retrofit a stove to use and we just use the water from our taps in the home? Can you just explain to us how that would really work?
No, the process of splitting it is very technical. So you'll have to go and buy the gas like what you're doing now. The only issue is that it should not be imported. It will be generated here in Jamaica, wherever the system is being used.
So it would encourage local manufacturing, local businesses, local employment.
It's not as if you're writing the script. Exactly.
Exactly. And that's why we want persons who are in industry to come to this conference on the 3rd and 4th of November at UTECH, because the possibilities are great. Dr. Wilson, who is, as you know, is a lead researcher, can explain to you further the various technical processes and the equipment that is required to convert this water into gas and to make it usable in a safe and environmentally friendly manner. Dr. Wilson, I think you can talk to her about the polymer electrolyte membrane.
Okay, good.
I don't get too technical on us, Dr. Wilson.
No,
I'll lose us,
all
we're
the
not
chemistry-
engineers,
No, all the chemistry students would have been called in class electrolysis, using lead pencil to generate, put in water and put a battery on it, and it bubbles, producing hydrogen and oxygen. So that is the same process. This is just scaled up now using a thing that we call a PEM electrolyzer, which is proton exchange membrane. The long and short of it is a system that has no moving part. That's the beauty of it.
So
And
it's less prone to having something go wrong then.
Thank you very much. Exactly. So yes, the only thing about it is very expensive, and that's why it couldn't be done per household. That does not say that maybe 20 years in the future you couldn't have this in your home.
No, we're not saying 20 years in the future, Dr. Wilson. We're expecting big things from you all and this institute and the faculty and the research going on at UTECH. So we're not even putting it at 20. We're giving you a shorter target than that because we want to see these innovations. We're challenging you, your students, everybody to get involved in this thing because we want to see this thing become something nothing is impossible. We have faith in our Jamaican and Caribbean innovators.
That is true, right? But while we have Usain Bolt, it is a sprint. Something take the long distance running. You see?
That's right.
So part of what we are doing though, will piggyback on what is happening in the auto industry, where they're talking about fuel cell,
Yes.
because fuel cell will be driven by hydrogen gas also. And so part of the technology that they're developing can be used in what we are doing. For
Yes, because
example,
we keep hearing about hydrogen powered cars. A lot of us don't
that's right,
understand what that
that's right.
means or what it is, but we hear that when we hear about hydrogen, we hear about hydrogen powered cars.
That is correct. And so while that is the main focus for academia at the moment, the niche that we look at, where nobody is really paying much attention to, is using it as a fuel for cooking.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to generate hydrogen for motor vehicle usage. But there is a market that we can satisfy by generating hydrogen for cooking. But the two go hand in hand. So they're producing some cylinders that we can use once they develop the cylinder to the specification that is accepted internationally in terms of safety standard. Then we can piggyback on that. The bottom line is we don't have to reinvent or invent everything. We can draw from these sources and make our thing domestic but very safe. So what's the difference between us and a motor vehicle? They are generating hydrogen at a very high pressure to use it for the motor vehicle. We are doing it at a very low pressure for cooking. As a matter of fact, the pressure in your regular LPG cylinder at home, the hydrogen cylinder carries less pressure in it inside the home than what is in your LPG cylinder.
So that means it would be potentially less dangerous then to handle and use.
I tell that you're writing the script, you know. I sure
Uh-oh.
you were not attending the classes.
No, man, I'm paying attention to what you're saying, so I'm learning and following.
Oh, she's a scientist, you know,
Yes,
and I'm
I
sure a
know.
lot of our listeners are scientists.
Yes.
You know, and point we're making also is that it won't be available for persons to just set up a system in their homes as it is, because we need this electrolyzer to convert the water into hydrogen, as well as we would not recommend that people go and produce hydrogen to store it in a regular gas cylinder as we know it. But as the lead researcher has said, again, Dr. Wilson has told us that we need special cylinders. And the reason for this, Dr. Wilson can further explain, is that the properties of hydrogen are a little different from your butane and propane mixture. And safety is our number one priority.
That's correct, Dr. Potapsing. The issue is that hydrogen is more flammable than LPG. But surprisingly, it is more safe. It is safer than LPG. What happens if you have a leak with your LPG? It settles around the cylinder. So if there's ignition, the whole area explodes.
Right.
Once hydrogen is released, it heads straight to the stratosphere. It is the lightest element that we know. And therefore, it doesn't accumulate around an area.
You would just float away, basically.
Floats away immediately.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, experiments have shown that if you they light a gas cylinder, car storage gas tank that was filled with hydrogen, and what obtained was a vertical flame. There's a flame going straight up in the air. They tried it with gas, and the car exploded.
You mean with regular LPG?
No, regular gasoline that you use in a car.
Or gasoline.
Right.
Okay.
The point we're making is that hydrogen in itself is more safer than LPG. It's just that it is more flammable, and this is where the concern is all. So a very small spark can ignite it, but if it is released, it is going up. The only thing that you need to use it in your home is to have proper ventilation. It's not advisable to use it in a confined space. Once you have ventilation, there's not much problem in using hydrogen gas.
Wow, well, this sounds like a great alternative source of power for not just us here in Jamaica, but in the Caribbean, because it's environmentally friendly. It's being produced from water. You don't have to be extracting minerals from deep within the earth and causing other environmental problems and hazards. You are producing something that is safer to be handled and used in households in case of damage to the cylinders that are being developed. And it sounds like something that we definitely should be exploring, and we're happy that you have been doing this research, and we are happy that you're hosting the International Hydrogen Conference this coming week, November 3 to 4. So we're going to come back right after the break and find out more about the conference. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Yeah, man, from it positive, so we have to lock it in,
You're listening to Jamaica's finest, Dr. Chan.
Welcome back to Positive Vibes. I'm your host, Dr. Chan. We have with us in the Positive Vibes studio. The Positive Vibes studio is anywhere we are in the world because we're digital, we're electronic, we're everything. We have Dr. Ruth Patopsing and Dr. Earl Wilson from the University of Technology sharing with us about the upcoming International Hydrogen Conference. Welcome back, Dr. Patopsing and Dr. Wilson.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Wonderful. You guys have been telling us about some fascinating and interesting things about hydrogen. I've been learning a lot, and I'm sure everyone has been learning a lot about hydrogen and its uses. As we said, we have heard about hydrogen powered cars, but we really didn't understand how it worked. But before we get a little bit into that, we want to, on the Positive Vibe Show, we always try to fast a little bit in people business. So, Dr. Patopsing, we're going to start with you. We just want to know, for those of us listening from Jamaica and the Caribbean, we have known you to be a leader in the energy sector for many years. But we want to know, how did your interest in renewable and alternative energy develop? How did this? For many Jamaicans, this is we're just becoming aware of alternative energy, learning about solar and its uses and application. But for you, Dr. Patopsing, how did your interest in renewable and alternative energy develop?
Well, I worked at the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica for 23 years. And my boss then, my manager, Dr. Raymond Wright of blessed memory,
Yes.
was very instrumental in encouraging me to channel my strong interest in environmental issues concerning energy. So my first entree into renewable energy was actually to look at to undertake a study on the bioenergy resources of Jamaica. So I looked at the use of charcoal. I looked at the impacts of charcoal use on deforestation. And then I went into research in that area by introducing 5 species of fuel wood trees that could be grown quickly.
Is this the project in Westmoreland?
It's in St. Elizabeth. It's on the border of Westmoreland, right, at Font Hill property.
Font Hill, yes.
Yes, so that's how I began. And then because of my strong interest in environmental matters, I served on a Latin American committee for the oil and gas industry, the environmental committee, at a time when, environmental matters were not so popular in the oil and gas industry. But there was a group within the RPEL, that's the name of the organization, that was focusing on the impacts of hydrocarbons, fossil fuels on the environment, on waterways, on even vegetation. And so I worked with a number of companies, the largest companies in Latin America, and we were working on various issues relating to, air quality, the quality of fuels. And so I drifted from biofuels into air quality. I was a coordinator for the removal of lead in gasoline in Jamaica. And the introduction of 2 octane levels of gasoline. I'm sure that's long before you were...
No, I remember when that shift was made, Dr. Patopsing. Don't try that. Don't try that.
So, people, we work on awareness of the impacts of lead on intelligence, on your IQ, and how this leaded fuel could be impacting our young persons, especially, and persons who handle fuels, and we're breathing in the fumes. And then we went into solar and energy efficiency, and I drove a program of national energy efficiency, and then morphed into wind and solar and so on. So, it has been a long history, and I am proud to see where we are today. We're not quite there. So when I came to work at the university, it was a great challenge, a very positive one, because one of my main job requirements is to curtail the use of electricity on our campus because it is enormous. Thank God it has gone down quite a bit, what with prevailing lower oil prices. But also we have like a student group there is a group of volunteers who actually help to monitor the use of electricity, turning off lights, simple things,
Yes.
turning off lights, turning off air conditioning units, and so on. So, I've had over 20 years working in energy efficiency and in renewable energy at a commercial scale as well as, just simply doing things to make a difference for our country.
Wow, Dr. Patapsing, we knew you were an energy leader, but even myself, I had no idea that you had such an important and vital role in some of these changes, environmental changes that we have seen in the energy sector in Jamaica and the Caribbean. And I wasn't aware of, your role in the Latin American countries in terms of these changes. So, we thank you for your work and your commitment to this, especially, as you said, at a time when this was extremely unpopular in your industry and your field, in the oil and gas and energy field. So, yes, we want to big you up and say, much and enough respect for all the work that you have done and have been doing.
Thank you.
And Dr. Wilson, you were mentioning earlier your PhD research into hydrogen. So again, we are curious, how did this develop for you? Because again, this is not when we think of persons going into energy, persons going into engineering, these types of fields, these types of disciplines. This is not what we think of as a typical type of research. How did you develop an interest in hydrogen, renewable energy? Where did your journey into renewable energy begin?
Okay, it started in my undergrad study. My mentor, Mr. Brian Silvera, who is the one-stop shop on everything energy. Once you say Brian, yes, in energy, right? I worked with him at the university, and one thing led to the other. So, as a mechanical engineer, because that's my forte, looking at what I wanted to research, I wanted something that is indigenous to Jamaica. And so I look at our local resource and how we can maximize it, because it was the hot topic at the moment and still is. So yes, looking at it, I look at the resource. Then I say, hold on, Jamaica is known for wood and water. These two things can work. I'm going to focus on one idea that I have, that I've worked on. There are other ideas that I'm looking at in terms of renewable, using seawater to generate electricity, and using solar energy by pumping the water up to the mountains and gravity feed that seawater through turbines that generate electricity. These are mature, the parts are mature in the industry. It's the putting together of the ideas that is making a difference. So it's not that I'm reinventing the wheel. I'm just putting parts here and there and put it in an innovative way and in each ways to make a difference. So that's how I came into this part, coming now looking at something like Jamaica has water and sunlight, and photovoltaic in terms of solar panel is quite established. Let's use that and see what we can do. Then just split in the water with sunlight, generate hydrogen, and we take from there. The only issue is that sounds simple. In getting it to work, it's real McCoy is.
Yes, the research and development.
Yes.
So fascinating stuff. It's interesting to find out about your backgrounds in alternative and renewable energy. And interesting to see, especially the role of mentors. The well-known, of course, Dr. Raymond Wright. Who we look to in terms of renewable and alternative energy. I won't say when, but back then. So let us take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and you're going to tell us more and remind us about the conference, the International Hydrogen Conference that will be coming up. Stay tuned. We're going to have more with Dr. Ruth Patapsing and Dr. Earl Wilson right after the break.
Positive Vibes with Dr. Chan.
This is Basie, and I represent for Dr. Chan right here on Positive Vibes, Caribbean Rhythms. We're on a journey to greatness. Mad.
Welcome back to Positive Vibes. We are vibing with Dr. Ruth Patopsing and Dr. Earl Wilson from the University of Technology. They have been sharing with us their journey into renewable and alternative energy as a career path, and they have also been sharing with us about the International Hydrogen Conference and their work on hydrogen. Welcome back, Dr. Patopsing, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Remind us again, please. The International Hydrogen Conference will be this coming Tuesday and Wednesday, November 3 to 4. What type of sessions can we expect at the conference? What can we expect to learn about? We know hydrogen is going to be on the agenda, but what else can we expect to find out more about and to learn about at the International Hydrogen Conference?
Well, let's start with, we have two keynote speakers on two different, on day one, we have one keynote speaker who is Professor Maria Colocatroni. And she actually was working on the project and is a former professor of Dr. Earl Wilson. And she is coming from Brunel University. And she occupies now a very key role as a team leader for resource efficient future cities, and that is being driven by Brunel University.
Wow.
And she's going to speak on the role of hydrogen in a sustainable energy future. The thing is that our research has been focusing on hydrogen as for cooking, but hydrogen has so much more potential for mass transit, and it is being used in buses all over the world, in the UK, in the United States, in Iceland, and a number of countries are using hydrogen-powered buses. And I can assure you that would help to cut down our import bills so much if we were to even replace hydrogen as a transportation fuel in Jamaica.
Yes.
So we have Professor Maria Colocatroni. We will have our addresses by Her Excellency Ambassador Paula Amadai, who is head of the EU delegation in Jamaica, because we could not have done this project without the funding support of the EU under its ACP, Caribbean and Pacific Program for Sustainable Development. And so, we are having those speakers. We're having also Minister Paulwell, who will speak in the context of the policy. And we are very happy that, we are having such a high level of government involvement. And on day 2, we will have Minister Hilton, who will speak from an industry point of view, because as we discussed earlier, the potential for job creation and for industrial use. I'm going to ask Dr. Wilson to speak to the technical sessions, because he, in fact, is the center on day 1 of the presentations, because that is where he will talk about the whole issue on what they went through in order for the gas to be converted, in order for it to be used as a fuel for cooking.
Thank you very much, Dr. Patopsing. Right, I'm going forward in this session, looking at the research work and the highlights. We're looking at the safe, practical solutions, that's one of the topic, to move the hydrogen to use as a cooking gas. We'll also be looking at principles and practices of gas odorization. Hydrogen gas is odorless. So if it leaks, you cannot smell it, and that's a big danger. Working and getting assistance from PCJ, we have found a way to
And that's the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica.
That's right.
Petrojam.
Petrojam. And they are coming to speak on the principle and practice of gas authorization. They are big into that. Good. The Bureau of Standards, and again, one of our partners, will also look at the regulatory framework of building a hydrogen economy.
Mm-hmm.
And MSTEM, another partner, looking at the cost-benefit analysis, comparing hydrogen gas to LPG. So these are some of the topics that will be rolled out and fleshed out under there. We'll also be looking at cultural perception of the use of hydrogen as a fuel, and that's a biggie. A lot of people think of hydrogen as dangerous.
Yes. Or they have no clue what it is.
No, that's the whole point. That is the whole point. Both from our incident at some Christmas ago, some time ago, in the half a tree, and the Bliss, that balloon thing there long ago in Germany, people think that hydrogen is bad. It is not. Hydrogen just got a bad rap. So that's part of those are some of the issues that will be highlighted on the day. Dr.
On the
P?
first day,
Yeah.
right. So very important to this research project is its sustainability.
Yes,
And we
yes.
will be discussing with some of the our international guests and our own local lead researcher here, Dr. Wilson, on the next steps for the research project to take it to further commercialization.
Yes, we need that. We need that. We don't want it to die with the end of the project. We want this to continue on and for us to see some implementation, application of this very important work and research.
Yes, and you know, one thing that I think we omitted to say in the first half of the program is that Dr. Wilson actually worked with 3 households to have the gas tested, and they actually cooked meals at 3 different locations.
Okay.
Various things, and they showed that this thing was very, very they were enthralled, the users, and we actually have a video
That's right.
to show that we will show during the conference
Conference.
on it.
Lovely.
Yes, we
That sounds
have.
exciting. You know, I'm an application-based person, Dr. Patopsin, so I love to see when these things are applied and put into practical use.
Right, and that was one of our highlights. We're glad about that. We did this in the lab,
Yes.
but when we took it to the field and asked our soldiers to use, we left it at the home, you know. They ran the system themselves and say, yes, I asked them to inform me when they're going to start it in the morning.
Yes.
I don't get any telephone call. When I call, they say, oh, we have already cooked breakfast and lunch.
So they had
phoned
no problems. They didn't say that
No,
it ran too
that's-
cold, it ran too hot. They didn't say the food burn up or the food wouldn't cook. It was just, they got
Yes.
good results.
Right. And here, the hospitality section of UTECH that
Yes.
deals with, we use it also there. We allow them to use it. And their remark was that it's the best cooking method they have for cooking rice. I don't know why,
Wow.
but they're experts in cooking.
They can do some,
They're
they
saying
can do some collaborative research on that too.
yes, yes. They say that yes, they found that it deals with rice much better than an ordinary gas.
Really?
I cannot answer why that is the case.
Not yet, not yet.
Well, you know, one of the important areas that is linked, that we have linked this hydrogen research project to, is the whole area of the environment and sustainability. And so we have the deputy resident rep from UNDP who will give us a brief address on the global goals for sustainable development. These have replaced the Millennium Development Goals, as you may be very well aware of. And we have the very, very important gentleman, Dr. Andrei Shekelev, who will speak on the international standards and best safety practices for transitioning to a hydrogen society. Dr. Shekelev actually chairs the international ISO standards hydrogen subcommittee. So we are very blessed
You
to
have some
have him.
distinguished speakers at this conference.
That's
yes,
right.
and before we go on, Dr. P, we have Professor Anthony Chen, who will be speaking on replacement of fossil fuel as a source of energy.
And phosphate.
And also on Dr. Paul Campbell here at UTECH
Yes.
and Urban Hydrogen and Elementary Perspective on the Global Energy Economy. So there's some
Yes.
good papers, some good presentation.
Locally
like-
as well as regionally and internationally.
Actually, yes, and we have a gentleman from the company that makes the electrolyzers and looking at industrial and energy storage applications.
Yes.
And so we want to expose other Caribbean persons to, you know, what it requires to convert this hydrogen in an environmentally friendly way. Because Dr. Wilson will tell you that there are other types of electrolyzers, but he, in fact, when he chose the electrolyzer to be used, was an environmentally friendly one.
That's right.
Excellent, excellent. I love to hear that.
But I don't want us to miss out one of our partners, very important partner, UWI. They have been working with us from
That's
day
the
one.
University of the West Indies.
Yes, they're part of the team also. And Dr. Kurt Edwards will be also presenting on design and characterization of fiber optic solar indoor lighting.
Wow.
So we're looking at the extension of all of the solar, the hydrogen, the water. So the hydrogen economy has many parts to it.
Wonderful.
And the symposium, the conference would highlight some of these.
Right.
So it doesn't sound then that this is, because initially when I saw this title, I thought, oh my gosh, this is for engineers and energy professionals. But this sounds like students, business persons, and other professionals should and will benefit from
Most
attending the hydrogen
definitely.
conference.
Definitely.
The industry, we had to retrofit ordinary gas stove. And I'm sure the industry will want to know what are the steps that will be done to do that. And it was done locally, so not even have to be important. So that is a possible area that can be developed in Jamaica and elsewhere.
Well, maybe we could be looking at some possible IP and patent developments, Dr. Wilson.
Most definitely is a particular thing that I've done that we want to keep to patent before it gets out.
Right.
Yes.
But Dr. Chan, what we don't want persons who are in research and development to just feel that research and development is to be kept in the laboratory. And so we have Dr. Paul Ivy from UTECH here, and Mr. Gerard Denouden from the EUACP Program Management Unit in Brussels, speaking about innovation management and commercialization, because it is very important that we move this research to commercialization and look at some of the channels in which we can actually move a lot of the research that is happening in our universities, not just at UTECH, but at UWI, at Northern Caribbean University, at other universities locally. What can we do to move the research that we have to commercialization? We hope that the National Council on Science and Technology, will be engaged with us in terms of moving this forward as well.
Dr. P, I'm glad for that, because I hope that this is a first step in getting our students mobilized. What is happening at UTECH and other universities? Even the undergrad students are coming with some excellent ideas, but they are just done and put on the shelf in their.
They don't know how, because we haven't had that experience in terms of entrepreneurship. Not that we're not innovators, but oftentimes we don't know how to move that innovation into entrepreneurship or commercialization. We just don't know. We don't have the experience in many cases.
So, there is a little, not just a little for everybody, but it's a very focused conference. We have hydrogen, we have the linkages with other renewable energy sources like solar and the solar industry. In fact, we are going to be having an exhibition at the Alfred Sangster Auditorium that is running concurrently with the conference. And our schools have been invited, over 100 schools have been invited. And we also had a competition for students to submit papers as well as posters, and persons will be able to look at the hydrogen setup that Dr. Wilson has developed in his lab. He will be making popcorn as usual and hot dogs using hydrogen gas, and you will see that the taste is just as robust as when you cook on regular LPG stoves. And you will also have an opportunity to see what is happening in the solar industry. And there is an innovators corner where student innovators will be displaying some of their energy innovations as well. So, we are very happy that this initiative is a first. As we said, it's the first hydrogen conference, and I think that will open doors for other generations. That's the whole point of sustainability.
This is some amazing stuff, Dr. Patopsing and Dr. Wilson. This is some amazing stuff. And what I'm really happy to hear is that you also have this exhibition running concurrently, because, well, you mentioned schools, but can persons like myself, can we?
It is open to all. It is open to all.
And so it will also be on November 3 and November 4 that we can go to University of Technology,
Alfred Sangster Auditorium.
right? So we can go to the Alfred Sangster Auditorium and view these exhibits, and we can interact with some of our young innovators.
That's right.
Yes, and it's from 8:30 to 5 every day. And for the students, we will have special presentations that are geared to meeting their level of knowledge and beyond. So we have concurrent presentations happening in the auditorium for our students, and for the general public. All are invited. It's at no cost to the public, but we ask that persons will register.
Okay, and how do they register? Do they register when they get there, or how do they register?
They register when they get here, but we would love if they were to go on our website and got registered.
And what's the website for us who are interested in coming? What's the website?
Well, it is, we can go on the www.utech.edu.jm, and there is a link to SAPNO, to a SAPNO website.
That's right.
Can you repeat that for us, please, so that we're clear on what we're looking for when we get to the UTECH website?
Right. It is www.edu.jm. utech.edu.jm.
All right. So we can look for the University of Technology Jamaica website, and there'll be a link.
Or you can go to www.solarhydrogen.sapna.com. SAPNA.
SAPNA. Okay, lovely. Dr. Wilson, let me ask you first. What do you wish? You mentioned, some of them that there would be at the conference. You'll be addressing some of the myths and misconceptions and so on of hydrogen and other forms of alternative energy. You also mentioned, some of the mishaps that have happened in the past that people associate with hydrogen. But Dr. Wilson, what do you wish more people in Jamaica and the Caribbean knew or understood about renewable and alternative energy?
The issue that we have been waiting at the first world to do most of the work, and then we piggyback. It's just to sit down and analyze that with our natural resources, we have renewable and sustainable way of developing some of these things. So one thing I'd want them to take from it is that with our innovation, we can look at what exists and find niches. That is what I want to take from it.
And Dr. Patopsin, you were speaking about applications of innovation, things not just sitting on people's desks, white papers, green papers, all of these things. You're talking about, moving to commercialization. So Dr. Patopsin, let me ask you, what renewable and alternative applications do you wish more Jamaican and Caribbean people would explore or adopt?
I think solar energy is our number one. We have an abundance of sunshine, and I would wish to see more people at all levels use solar energy, whether it's for solar cooking, and the technologies required are not very sophisticated for that, and solar lighting, electricity, as well as for water heating, not just for domestic use, but also for industrial uses. I think we have a big opportunity to use solar. And of course, all the linkages that can happen with, say, hydrogen.
Yes.
But, so we are very happy to share this new fuel source then, as a renewable energy opportunity for Jamaica as a whole. Of course, we are going to need the policy support. We are going to need the regulatory support to facilitate this. But with that sort of legal framework, I see no reason why within 5 years, hydrogen cannot be a major part of our society.
Wonderful stuff. So once again, Dr. Wilson, Dr. Patopsin, how can we find out more about the conference? Remind us of the website, any social media pages that we can tune in, keep in touch with what's going on. Remind us one more time, please.
The website is www.solarhydrogen, one word, .utechsapna.com. Again, www.solarhydrogen.utechsapna.com.
And if all else fails, go to the University of Technology website, Jamaica,
That's
and
right.
look for the
And
link.
it's a link there, yes.
And there's a link.
Fantastic stuff. So, Dr. Patop Singh and Dr. Wilson, thank you so much for sharing with us today. We know you're busy preparing for the International Hydrogen Conference. We wish you success and hope that some new collaborations, applications, and innovations that will benefit Jamaica and the Caribbean region will result from the conference. Thank you so much for sharing with us here on the Positive Vibe Show, and keep bringing positivity and light into the world through your work.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Chan.
It was our pleasure.
And you keep on doing the great job you're doing. I know you're impacting not just national bodies, but also communities, and communities make up our society. We're very happy, Dr. Chan, to have shared our time with you this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was indeed my pleasure, our pleasure, having you here on Positive Vibes. You're listening to the Positive Vibe Show. We were vibing with Dr. Ruth Patop Singh and Dr. Earl Wilson from the University of Technology, Jamaica. We'll be right back after the break.
Dr. Chan, #1 positive talk show host in the Caribbean. Yo, may I tell you some things that can happen to you in our life, you know. Yo, sometimes it does make you feel, depressed, but you know what I say? When I want to feel vibes, when I want to uplift myself, you know what I say? But just tune in from Positive Vibes to Dr. Chan and because hear what Dr. Chan said the thing, you know, Positive Vibes to uplift the thing. Yeah, Positive Vibes, and that me say, respect.
It's always good to be on Positive Vibes.
Because Positive Vibes is the vibes.